I have a lore question for you. And I got
Oh,
thinking about this last night, okay?
yeah.
Um, we were watching this YouTuber that I quite like, Ghost Charm. Have you heard of him?
I've not.
A guy I enjoy. Um, very chill sort of dude. Enjoy him, and he has a whole video on Chiagorath, right? And covering the Shivering Isles and stuff. So like it got me thinking though last night, right?
Hmm.
So canonically, supposedly canonically,
Yeah.
you have the hero of like Cyrodiil, right?
The hero of Kvatch.
Hero of Kvatch. He champion of the arena, um, and like a bunch of other things depending on what you did in the course of your Oblivion playthrough.
Hmm.
Um, the idea is like you go through, you win, you save everyone from Molag Bal. Molag Bal?
Yes.
No,
Yep.
Mehrunes. Mehrunes Dagon, I'm sorry.
Oh, Mehrunes
It's
Dagon.
Mehrunes. Save everyone from Mehrunes Dagon.
Yep.
Happily ever after. Few Shivering Isles. And, spoiler alert, but turns out Sheogorath is actually Jyggalag,
Hmm.
god of Daedric Prince
Jiggles.
of Order. Yeah, Jiggles. No, but of order, right? And the whole idea behind Shivering Isles is Sheogorath is trying to turn you, the player character, into him. So
Into
that,
Sheogorath, yeah.
yeah, so when the Grey March comes, you can just kind of take out Jyggalag, or like it breaks the curse, which or whatever,
Well,
right?
that's the whole theory that the Sheogorath you see in Skyrim is the hero of Kvatch.
Exactly. So here's my scary thought. And it's a bit of a
Yeah.
what if video. Jyggalag, where is he? Because he is a scary motherfucker. It's the whole reason they made him into the God of Madness, because they were all scared shitless of this guy, if I'm not mistaken.
Was there a Daedric storyline for Jyggalag in Oblivion?
In Oblivion, no. Outside of Shivering Isles, and him just kind of going like, yeah, maybe you are him, and then he leaves, he pieces out. No. That's what I'm saying. He's never, and like come Skyrim, he doesn't have a quest. He doesn't have a. So man's just out there somewhere. I think trying to find. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken on the lore here. Trying to find his own plane of like in Oblivion to kind of start over. So like it makes me very curious for Elder Scrolls 6, right?
So he's the Daedric Prince of Order.
Yep.
He attempts to invade the Shivering Isles every era
Yep.
in the event known as the Grey March. The Grey March always ends with the total destruction of the realm, leaving Jyggalag and the forces of Order to disappear, and Sheogorath having to restore his realm. Okay, yeah.
Yep, that's the curse. Keep Jyggalag in check.
Keep Jyggalag in check. The
So
Roots of Madness. Is that a quest? Yeah, the quest. Again, I would definitely love to go back and play some Shivering Isles because I never did.
starring Serial Dill, maybe.
I mean, I'll have to get the save file somehow. But that is a good question. Where is Jyggalag?
And like that's my whole thing. And like I don't know if it's like Bethesda forgot about him or if he's gonna play a larger role in Elder Scrolls 6.
Do you think so though? Because I mean, the running theories for Elder Scrolls 6, right, is that it's taking place in Hammerfell, which I think makes sense. They've kind of hinted at it since the beginning. Um,
And they have had a
but
couple mentions in Skyrim, like quite a few.
they have in a book in particular, they kind of set up the war between the Empire and the Thalmor, right?
Yeah.
And then they have um they have the amazing distinction that in the White Gold Treaty, which is the treaty between the Empire and the Thalmor after like the 5 years that almost like destroyed both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the Aldmeri Dominion, the Aldmeri forces invading Hammerfell and basically being like, "Yo, we're gonna take this bitch back." In that treaty, the Empire denounces Hammerfell as a providence of Tamriel, basically a part of the Empire. So they're just like, and then they go on to fight the Thalmor to a standstill. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
The Red Guards and the people of Hammerfell fought the Thalmor to a standstill when the Empire themselves couldn't even do that. And they're setting up this animosity between Hammerfell and the Empire, which I think is a great jumping off point for a game. And you can, and there's also these theories, and I've as you can see, I've been kind of keeping up on the rumor mill. They were saying that there are these practitioners called sword singers
Mm-hmm.
who are like these. It's like a lost art within Hammerfell. And they're saying that since like your character in every game is kind of like a chosen one or
Mm-hmm.
someone who like an angel, like something that came back,
Yeah,
that your
Dragonborn,
player
Nerevar. I don't really know what you.
Kirkovach, I guess, is like,
Yeah, yeah.
but nonetheless, right? Like if your character comes back as like like your character is a sword singer, that'd be fucking lit, dude.
Absolutely, but then who's the main bad guy? They always have a central.
Now that's a question, right? And I think if I were to bet, you have Morrowind, the main bad guy in that is what's his face that I can never.
Oh, give me a minute.
You
We'll
have
come back.
Nerevar, and you have oh
I can see him. He's like wearing the mask. He's like half naked.
yeah, we'll come back to him. You have Oblivion, Mehrunes Dagon. You have Skyrim, Parthenax. No, Alduin. Alduin,
Yep.
sorry. This game, you can argue, is it going to be a main bad guy, or is it going to be something along the lines of a storyline?
Okay, Gother. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes. A storyline adjacent to what Skyrim was. Are you going to be in the middle of a war between the Aldmeri domain and the citizens of Hammerfell?
But are they gonna take a page out of Skyrim's book and make it like, yes, part of the main quest, but like, is it gonna be more of a side thing with an overwhelming, looming presence that they
Well,
like to add in?
for that, you can get into a bunch of different areas. Who's going to be the big bad of Elder Scrolls 6? That is something that I would need to really sit down and speculate about. But what I can say, just from a story perspective, is I think there's going to be a political aspect to the story, which
Absolutely.
is almost telling an epic more than a something of like a doomed destruction, right? Like most of these games are. I feel like they could go down more of the path of how are you going to shape what Hammerfell might look like after you're done, right? And I can see a really cool world where it's just like you sided with the Aldemary Dominion, and the Aldemary Dominion took back Hammerfell, which is theorized to be where some of the elves first landed, and kind of what they think as a as something that they own, right? Because they used to be there. Or do you help the people of Hammerfell strike back against the Aldemary domain, driving them out, and you see maybe a king rise and bring all of Hammerfell together, and then that central person either I could see them going down the route of rejoining the Empire or making their own nation, right? Which could be really cool.
Alright, so
And this is
then...
pure speculation.
Yeah. So then back to Jyggalag. How do you think about DLC? Do you think he could possibly show up in DLC? I just find it weird, because, like, Shivering Isles was, like, so iconic, right? And people go like, oh, yeah, and, like, that's the player character from Oblivion, and, like, people are so focused on that, but, like, Jyggalag's still running around, and he's a scary guy. He's a scary dude. He's just
100%.
out there running around, so, like, what do you think? Was he just forgotten, or do you think, like, he can show up in some potential DLC, or maybe even get his own quest in Elder Scrolls 6?
I think there's definitely potential where he gets his own quest in Elder Scrolls 6. Do I think that he is a main player to that story? Or has any real attachment to it? Because you have to think, right? The way that let me just read this real quick. Oblivion is set in the Third Era, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elder Scrolls 6 is most likely, because Skyrim's already in the Fourth Era.
Yep.
You could be absolutely correct, because every era he does have to invade. So we're in the Fourth Era, and we haven't heard anything from Jyggalag as of yet. We're talking Third Era 433.
Jyggalag's cool, and he's a scary motherfucker, and he's, like, also Sheogorath, which is, like, probably one of the more popular Daedric princes, I'm just saying. It'd be a damn shame and a waste, I think, for Bethesda not to touch him.
Jyggalag, the Prince of Order, also known as the Grey Prince of Order, is a Daedric prince whose sphere represents logical order and deduction. His great library once contained a logical prediction of every detail of the world and of every action that would ever take place on Mundus or Oblivion, long before they actually happened. He was cursed in antiquity by the rest of the Daedric princes to become the Prince of Madness, Sheogorath. After the events of the last Grey March, Sheogorath and Jyggalag are no longer the same Daedric prince. However, they are still connected in other ways.
That's what I'm saying, so, like, he's separate now. So where'd he go? Daedric princes did that shit to him, like, on purpose. But now he's just free, like... They all gotta be trying to do something, right?
Fourth Era. Through Sheogorath... though Sheogorath is very knowledgeable of Jyggalag's motivations and involvement in previous Grey Marches sometime in the Fourth Era, he suppressed the memories of his previous life as Jyggalag, as they caused even him to go mad. The Dunmer Talum Rend was able to defeat Sheogorath at his own game when he forced the Mad God to relive these memories. In 4th Era 201, a mage named Thorin came into possession of the Sword of Jyggalag. The sword instructed Thorin to invoke a ritual that tore the veil between Tamriel and the Shivering Isles, and ultimately wished to destroy the Isles much like its master had done in the past Grey Marches. The last Dragonborn put an end to the ritual by killing Thorin and came into the possession of the sword. Now that could be really so depending, right? Depending on where they go with Elder Scrolls 6 and how long the timeline is, where do you think's most likely? Before, during, or after Skyrim?
After.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because they've done that before, right?
Yeah.
So, well, no, they haven't. Well, technically, they haven't though, because
No?
they've always moved forward in a way.
Yeah.
Morrowind was like years before Oblivion, not much. Like, I don't know the exact timing on it, but it was not like Emperor Uriel was still emperor.
Yeah, and what's his name? How do you pronounce his name? Jib? Jib?
Jib.
Yeah, he's still around come Oblivion.
Exactly. So it's like that's not really a big jump. I think it's like 20 years. It's not crazy. But then you have between Oblivion and Skyrim, and that's like, I think it's like 100, 200 years,
I think it's
right?
200. I could be wrong.
I think it's 200, right? Because you think about it, Fourth Era 201, that's when the Dragonborn comes into possession of Jyggallag's sword. And it was 433 in the Third Era that the Shivering Isles happened. Let me see if I can get a little bit of a timeline here. Man, I always forget how the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages is like ridiculously
In depth.
detailed.
Yeah.
So 433 was the last year of the Third Era. And then you have 201, which is Skyrim, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's 200 years. So that's the jump between those games. And yeah, you have crazy. Okay. Morrowind happens Third Era 427, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oblivion 433. That is that's not long. That's what?
No.
5 6, 7 years, something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. They're like around the same time.
So I guess I am wrong in that aspect. It's never gone backwards. It's only just been a little bit closer than the others.
Yeah.
But would that be funny, right? To kind of, I guess, put yourself at the end of the Great War, right? So it would be after, for sure. Much to think about. Very interesting.
Yeah, see, that's why I bring it up. And, like, look, I will admit, there's a good chance that, like, Bethesda may have just forgotten about Jyggalag altogether. But if they did, I think it's a damn shame.
So here's the thing, right? You think about it. There are 15 years between games. Like, it's going to be even more when this game actually comes out, which is maybe 2 years away. Like, realistically, if they're, like, having all of their teams on it and shit, probably 2 years. A lot of the lead writers are gone. So it's one of those things where if you're a Bethesda dev coming straight off of Skyrim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, I got a few years to think about what happens next. And then a few years turns into 10, and then 10 turns into 15, and you move on because, damn, it's been too long. What do you do at that point? You have, obviously, you have people who did not work on Skyrim, or have only worked on Fallout 4 or Fallout 70. Like it's one of those weird things
Yeah.
where most of the backbone of Skyrim isn't there anymore. You can argue that Todd's there and he's the vision of that studio, right?
But even then,
But you also talk about the size of Bethesda Game Studios compared to what it was on Skyrim, right? Skyrim was made with less than 100 people. Bethesda Game Studios now is, I think, even with layoffs, still well ahead of 100. So you have this really weird position, right? And you have ex Bethesda developers talking about it. You used to be able to walk into Todd's office and be like, "How do you feel about this?" You can't really do that anymore.
no.
And when your creative centerpiece is no longer accessible to you, that's when these games start falling apart. Because you have skewed direction, right? So it's one of those things that's just really weird.
Well,
And
what
kind
I'm
of, yeah.
what I'm gathering here is a lot of stuff's gonna fall through the cracks. So like, there's a lot of things like we can say like would be cool and like we'd like to have, but like it's probably not gonna happen at this point simply because the flow of ideas is impeded.
hmm
Um.
I mean, as it stands, and I just kind of did a quick Google search, right?
Mhm.
You're looking at a team that is in the 2, 3, 400s, right? That's a big team.
Well, I guess that'll have to be another discussion at some point.
While older titles like Skyrim were built by teams around 100 people, I think you start losing that personal touch once you get past a certain point.
So yeah, this
But
is
yes, that is a discussion for another time.
well actually here this is how we'll end it. I think. I know the conversation started off as Jyggalag, but like I think it turns into a sort of different conversation, right? Does a studio getting bigger and having more resources actually damage the creative integrity? We won't dive into it too deep here, but like, that is the question, so knee jerk reaction, yes or no?
Yes.